I'm here. Okay. First things first, I got my LaCroix. Yes, I know some of you are like, what the heck, that's carbonated water. Well, let's remember, I'm 3 years out. But to let you know, my surgeon let me have it, I think 3 months into it. And his comment was, if it's gonna help you get water in, it's gonna help you get water in. Just remember that carbonation can kind of change the pH balance of your stomach. So if your stomach's still healing, might not be a great thing. And honestly, 3 years later, I can only have one a day. Like I seriously can only have one a day. Otherwise I do start to get kind of gassy. So just remember that. Okay, so welcome back. My name is Carrie. This is called VSG Life Skills. This is kind of a new series called Solution Saturdays. I'm gonna take a drink for It's all informal here. Solution Saturdays, ask a loser, just submit your questions. You can submit them down in the comment box below. I've got some of you DM'd me. And I just wanna, as this channel, I just wanna try to address some of the questions that people have regarding their weight loss surgery journey. Some people are starting and they're a little nervous and anxious and wanna know all the things. Some people are right in the midst of it and kind of wondering, what the heck did I do? And then some are just really trying to get back on track or just really try to reach that kind of long-term success. And that's why I'm here. So hit the like button. That lets me know if you want like a longer content video. And of course, subscribe. I see a lot of you come back, but you don't subscribe. So what's up there? Okay, let's get started. So first things first, I'm just gonna check my question. So also just letting you know, I do live close to Air Force Base, and so the jets are training today, so it could be super loud. So thank you for your service, but I might have to stop just suddenly. So today we're gonna talk about pre-op. A lot of people ask, they say, I cheated on my pre-op, am I okay? So let's address that first. So what I did is I actually had a 2-week pre-op diet that my surgeon wanted me to do, and I decided to do 3 weeks. And I'll tell you a little bit why I decided to do that in a bit in the second question that we're gonna address. But I decided to do 3 weeks. I was just ready to do so. So I'll put a little blurb in here. I actually I put myself on tape, just I guess accountability, maybe just to force myself to do it, but I'll put a little blurb here on the day that I decided to start my pre-op.
Hi, it's day one. So day one meaning it is 3 weeks from today that I will have my gastric sleeve surgery. I am starting on my pre-op diet, even though my surgeon told me I didn't have to start for another week. I am going to start today because I'm ready.
So why do we even cheat on our pre-op diet? We kind of have to understand to succeed, or maybe prevent if you're wondering you haven't even started your pre-op diet yet, is you got to understand kind of what are your barriers, why are they coming up, and why would you choose to cheat on your pre-op diet. And some of the common roadblocks are, of course, nerves and anxiety. We're so used to using food to distract and cope, avoid, even as a weapon sometimes. Some of us we have a lack of support. We don't have a support group that we need. Sometimes it's just lack of knowledge. Like some of our bariatric teams are not the greatest and they don't give us a lot of information. Sometimes it's the good old cravings that just keep sneaking up. Sometimes it's just motivation to keep going. Some of us, because we are doing pretty low carb, high protein, we're removing all that kind of excess sugar and refined carbs. Some of us kind of feel the keto flu. And what that is like our bodies are moving from using like glucose, that excess sugar as fuel. We're now switching over to ketones, which is burning fat. And sometimes if we've had years and decades, for my decades of eating processed foods, lots of sugar, high carbs, our glucose readings are pretty high. Some of us, when we switch really quickly to that ketone burning, we sometimes suffer what's called the keto flu. And it really is, it mimics the flu. Like some of us get chills, nauseous, sometimes your bones ache. It's kind of your body just letting go of all those toxins, all that sugar, and typically it'll start to even out as you continue on. But if you cheat, then that just kind of starts over again. So you just got to remember. And for some of us, it's already too late, right? We've cheated and now we're like self-sabotaging and we're ready to give up. And we're thinking, what the heck? It's not worth it. And a lot of us, which is going to lead to our second question in a minute, but it is that kind of last chance, our food funerals. We're just kind of stuck in that rut of like, oh, I don't want to forget about this food. No, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to eat this, and I'm going to eat this. So before we kind of talk about like, is it okay to cheat on your pre-op diet? And I'll give you some tips on how to get through it, but we got to understand what is the purpose of the pre-op diet. Some of us just don't know. I didn't really know until kind of later, and I did my research. So for most of us, the reason why they put us on a pre-op diet is to shrink the liver. What that means is our surgeons have to get at our stomachs for VSG, or they have to get at our intestines for the bypass procedure. So they have to lift the liver. And if the liver is like a fatty liver, or if it's kind of engorged or enlarged, it really makes the surgery more difficult. And so one of the key things to having the pre-op diet is to shrink that liver, so it makes the surgery safer for you, and it makes it safer for the surgeon, so they can just get a really good eye and be able to look at what they're doing. Another reason they want us to do a pre-op diet is really just to empty out the stomach and the intestines. We just want to cleanse the body of all things, because if there's things in your body, it could lead to infection, it can obstruct. So they just want to make sure that our body, our intestines, our digestive tract is clean and cleansed out. Another reason is they just want us to kind of jumpstart our post surgery dietary habits. Just kind of get a start, get a feel for it. It's going to be kind of the same right after having surgery, depending on what program you're on. Again, your post-surgery diet is somewhat mimics your pre-op diet. It did in my case anyways. And let's just remember, I gotta remind everybody, I am not a bariatric surgeon, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a nutritionist. I am a person who lost 140 pounds. I had the sleeve in June 2019. I'm 3 years post-op. I am a certified life skills coach, and I started this channel because I realized that I needed extra life skills to navigate this journey, and I know that other people need it as well. So I'm giving you this information from my perspective. You always should consult your bariatric surgeon, or if you have questions about your specific situation, you need to contact your people. And kind of one of the last reasons that surgeons will ask us to do a pre-op diet, a little extended of a pre-op diet, is if you do have diabetes, or your pre-diabetes, or your blood sugars run pretty high, it just helps to kind of sustain that. You don't want a high blood sugar reading when you're going into surgery. Now, I'm not saying that your surgeon, if you cheated, your surgeon's gonna deny you your surgery. If you cheated, maybe one or a few times, it probably won't, but your surgeon does have the right to refuse you. Your anesthesiologist does as well, and sometimes your nutritionist weighs in as well. So the reason why they want to deny you is not to punish you, it's just because there might be, the more you cheat during your pre-op diet, the more you kind of go against what they've asked you to do, the higher your risks become and possibly complications. So they might turn you down for surgery, and it's not because they're trying to deny you or punish you, it's because they're trying to make it safe for everyone involved. Okay, so some of you have said, I've cheated, now what do I do? What should I do now? So most of the times one cheat does not make the surgery stop. I would suggest that you tell your surgeon, because you know what? The closer you are to your surgery and you have stuff in your intestines, in your stomach, your surgeon's gonna know within minutes. And I would rather tell them and be honest and have them assess me before, rather than lying about it and thinking I can get away with it, and them open me up and then see that I wasn't telling the truth, and then they close me up. They're gonna charge you for that too. So I just would not, I'd be honest. So if you cheat 1 or 2 times, most likely they're not gonna cancel it, but you need to be honest with your surgeon. Just keep in mind, every time you do cheat, it just increases your risks and the complications from surgery. It just, increases the odds of that happening. If it does happen, just get right back on and be strict. Just get back on. Don't just throw up your hands and give up. Just get back on track and get back to being strict on what your guidelines tell you to do, and just do it. That is kind of what happened with me, is that I Of course, I had hard times too. It's not easy to do the pre-op diet. I'll talk about some tips in a second, but just that I really told myself I wanted to make this surgery as safe as possible. Of course, there's complications and risks. There's the potential of that in any surgery, from tonsils all the way to gallbladder to anything. A nose job has complications, but we want to reduce the risk as much as possible. So that's kind of helped me get through my pre-op diet, was knowing that it makes the surgery safer for me and the surgeon, and it just reduces the risks, and it's just an ethical thing to do. Now, some of you ask about like how long is a pre-op diet supposed to be? And like I mentioned before, some of our bariatric teams just are not very stellar and they don't give us a lot of information. So typically your pre-op diet, now it depends on your situation. Sometimes insurance is involved, sometimes your bariatric program has expectations. But mostly the reason why they decide how long your pre-op diet is depending on how high your BMI is. Now, you've heard me say in other videos that I've done is that the BMI chart is outdated. It is an outdated thing, but that's what they do use. That's what insurance uses to determine approval or not. So the higher your BMI is, more likely the longer your pre-op diet will be. Now there's all kinds out there. Mine was a 2-week liquid diet. Sometimes it's only a 3-day liquid. Sometimes they only require you to do that 1-day cleanse right before having the surgery. Sometimes it is 2 protein shakes and a balanced meal. Sometimes they do allow you to have food, probably pretty high protein and low carb, low sugar. So it's all over the map, but typically how they decide is the higher the BMI, most likely your pre-op diet will be longer. So I get it. The pre-op diet, if some of you that have gone through it or you're kind of a little bit anxious about it, you've heard all the stories, it can be tough. Yes, it can be tough, especially if we spent decades and decades, like I said, eating processed food, high refined carbs, grazing all day, all the things, right? There's a reason why we're having bariatric surgery. And so it can be tough. So here's some tips that have come from other people and some of the tips that I used as well to kind of help you get through that really little bit of a rough time, especially if you're new to this kind of restriction. Like I mentioned, just remember why you're doing it. Like, why are you doing the surgery? And why do you want to make sure that you're doing everything possible to make it safe for you and for your bariatric team? This really is a good time to get in the habits. Start some of those habits that they ask us to do post-op. So like sipping your liquid, try doing that. Chewing your food really, really slowly if your liquid diet is, if your pre-op diet's not a liquid diet. Try incorporating some of those behaviors now. You'll just be better off when you're coming home from your having surgery. So it's a really good opportunity to take on the challenge and develop some of those behaviors that we're going to be forced to do post-op. I'm a big believer, make sure you have a plan before. Like, be prepared, as prepared as possible. Like, there's lots of resources out there. I have a really long kind of content video that really describes like a surgery, like pre-op surgery checklist. And I say be prepared physically, but also mentally and emotionally as much as possible. And you can start early on. It doesn't mean you start preparing right at your 2-week pre-op. You can start way before. I know this is easy to say, and some of us just can't do it because of the people that we live with, is just try to get all those trigger foods that are trigger foods to you out of your house. Like, if they're not there, you're just not tempted, right? This is the time, if you do have pre-op diet guidelines and even post-op diet guidelines, this is the time to really get familiar with them. Ask the questions from your nutritionist and your surgeon. If you have questions about it, this is the time to ask those questions. Make sure you're super clear on it. Don't go in blind, don't assume, ask the questions. A really good thing is, and I know it sounds simple, but stay fully hydrated. A lot of times we are actually thirsty and we're not hungry. And keeping fully hydrated during a pre-op diet can kind of reduce some of those cravings. Plus, it just helps in all aspects of your health. If you haven't already, start your vitamins. It's a really good time to get ahead on those vitamins. You know, get them into your body. The better, the healthier you can be at your surgery date, the better off you're going to be, and the way you're going to reduce those risks and those complications. I chose to journal my feelings. I know like some people aren't into that, but just write them down. Get those nerves and those anxiety and just what's happening. It's a journey of self-discovery. So you might as well write it down. And you know what helped me was writing all those down, no rhyme or reason to it, just journaling my feelings about my pre-op diet. Is I look back to that a lot. Like just, it's another progress indicator to see where you've come from and then how far you've come from there. So I'm a big believer in journaling, and you can buy lots of bariatric journals out there. I just used a plain notebook, but I found that journaling really helped. Please, please don't forget to take measurements, take pictures. I didn't do this. I didn't have a digital footprint for 10 years. I couldn't find pre-op diet or like pre-bariatric surgery pictures of me. I never allowed anyone to take a picture, and I'm so sad about that. So sad about that. And even after having surgery, like I didn't want my picture taken, and I said this in another video, I actually did monthly videos, like progress videos. I got my husband to take it, and I got him to hide it in a folder on my phone. I never looked at those pictures until the 1 year anniversary of my surgery. I didn't look at any of them. But now I wish I would have took more. I wish I would have used them, because I hear from a lot of people, and I know that this would have been, I wish I would have got over the fear, because it helps you when the scale isn't moving. It helps you to show when you think, oh my God, why am I doing this? I regret my surgery, or I'm not losing weight fast enough, all the things. When you do a side-by-side picture, you'll be amazed at the difference. So take those pictures and take those measurements. If you have to hide it for a while, do it. But just don't forget to do it. You will regret not doing that. Spend this time defining your bigger why. Like it's got to be more than just reaching your goal weight or that BMI category. It's got to be who is the person you want to be? Why are you like taking such drastic measures as having bariatric surgery? Why are you doing that? It's got to be more than that number on the scale. So define your bigger why. List out all the non-scale victories you want to reach, all the goals you want to achieve. Just spend some real time doing that, and you'll just appreciate that when you have post-surgery, when you're feeling perfect storm there, the jets are flying by, my camera battery died, and then my laptop died. Okay, so yeah, okay, things happen. Came back. So where was I? Talking about your bigger why. So make sure that you just develop your bigger why. Write down, brainstorm all those non-scale victories and those goals. It has to be more than just a number on the scale. You know that. And it'll just help you. Okay, here they go. Can you hear that? Once again, thank you for your service. Start learning about life skills that you need to navigate life. There is a reason that we became obese. I'm going to speak for myself. There's many reasons that I became obese, and some of them was just I used food. I used food to cope, distract, avoid, as a weapon, to soothe me. It was my best friend, all the things. So I just, and the irony is I was a certified life skills coach before having bariatric surgery. So I too had to be reminded that I needed certain life skills to actually navigate through life so I don't use food. So that, it's all about learning. This whole journey, if you want long-term weight loss surgery success and you're thinking about cheating on that pre-op diet, you just have to realize it's not a straight line. It's about self-discovery, it's about picking yourself up, and it's about moving forward. While you're in your pre-op diet, if you haven't done it already, it's really important that you build your support system. Maybe you join a support group now before even having surgery. Maybe it's about educating the people in your household and your friends and family. I'm not saying that you have to tell them that you're going to have bariatric surgery if you're not comfortable with that. But it's really important to start building your support system. And your pre-op diet's going to be a little rough. So people that have gone through it before you can really let you know and support you through that. And then this is a really good time, your pre-op diet, when you're trying to distract yourself, is to increase your self-care strategies. And if you don't have health self-care strategies in place, you need to really define what that is, and you need to start incorporating them. Post-surgery, especially those first few days to a week, you're healing and you're adjusting, and you're gonna need to rest, and you need to really take care of yourself. So your pre-op diet, this is the time as you're trying to avoid all those cravings and your mind is super focused on food, is just to increase those self-care strategies and figure some of that out before you even have surgery. The other thing too with hydration, before I mentioned, is to increase your electrolytes and even incorporate some sea salt into your diet. It'll just help you feel better. It'll help you with that keto flu. So that's one thing that I did, and it was a game changer actually. So of course, your pre-op diet, the most important thing is just to try your best. It's, sometimes it's not about perfection. It's just about getting 1% better. And it's just, it's self-discovery. So just try your best. Remember why you're doing this. Try to make it as safe as possible, and just, do what you can. And as hard as it is, just remember it's worth it. It's just worth it in the end. So the next question I have is, what is a food funeral? Food funeral. So the reason why I started my pre-op diet, I only had to do a 2-week liquid pre-op diet. I started 3 weeks, is because what was happening to me is I was grieving. I was literally grieving. I was having food funerals, not just one last meal. I was having many. I was eating all the things. I was grieving all my favorite foods and the socialization and all the things. And I went in for my pre-op kind of check-in with my surgeon, and my surgeon said to me right out, he said, Carrie, if you don't, you're gaining weight left and right here, and if you don't stop it and get your act together, I'm not going to do the surgery, and your insurance is not going to approve it. So it was like an eye-opener, and I was like, what the heck am I doing here? So I know people are wondering what it is actually, and how you really, if all you can, is try your best to avoid it. It really does not prepare you for the pre-op diet. It just makes you feel super guilty and ashamed, and your body's not feeling well. You're filling it too fast, too full. Your mindset is not right. It's just not going to help you. It's not going to serve you in any way. It really is telling yourself that you have a negative outlook on this surgery journey, and that you're going to be sacrificing, and you're going to have something taken away from you. And the reality is, yes, there's a transition period, but in moderation, sooner than later, is that you're going to learn to develop a healthy relationship. Well, you should learn to develop a healthy relationship with food. And that doesn't mean you're going to give up certain foods forever. You might choose to have foods back in. You might realize that certain foods you react to after surgery, and you might realize that other foods in replace of these favorite foods that you think you had just don't make you feel good. So it's not about you never having foods again. You will have the choice eventually to have whatever food you want. So it doesn't mean that they go away forever. You will choose if that will get you closer to your goal or not, or make you feel better or not. Now, what I really think is happening is it's not the foods that we are actually grieving. It's more probably the social interaction. We are telling ourselves in our head that everything has to change, that our social interactions with our loved ones will have to change. You can't eat, on special events. You won't have cake on your birthday. It's more about the interactions, the celebration of food, I bet, than some of those favorite foods. And maybe it does mean favorite foods, but you got to ask yourself, why are they your favorite foods? Do they have a sentimental value? Is it more important that you're actually spending time with family and friends? You are actually socially interacting. Yes, there might be a transition period, but eventually you'll get there, and you'll learn that it's not about the food. It's about the people and the family and the friends and the experiences that you want to have than it is about the food. Start now with having a positive outlook whenever possible, and multiple food funerals is not getting you there. You need to start having a positive attitude towards a healthy relationship with food, a positive outlook on your motivation, a positive outlook on what your goals are, a positive outlook on who you're going to be. If you start, I'm not saying you're going to be perfect. You know, the mindset, it takes work. But if you keep moving forward with that positive outlook, and you start that with your pre-op diet, and you try to avoid those food funerals, you're really just getting yourself ready. And it's not a funeral. It should never be a funeral. Just remember, like, you got this. Your pre-op diet is your first challenge. Conquer it, overcome it. You'll be stronger when you get to the other side. And if you cheated, forgive yourself. Not a big deal. It's about progress, not about perfection. It's about moving forward. It's about learning about yourself. It's about picking yourself up after making a mistake and doing something differently, taking the next loving step. So thank you so much for watching. Submit those questions. I want to help you. So if you let me know what kind of questions you want answered, what are some things that you're just struggling with, let me know. If you want me to make a longer content video, I'm totally open to that. And remember, I have lots of videos on my channel. Check them out. Let me know if you get value from them, and let me know what you need from me. Let's do this. You got this. Take care, everybody. Hope you had a great week. Hope you had a great Canada Day or July 4th, and let's be safe out there.